Hi, and welcome back to Fish the Mark. This episode, we're going to build on what we did last time from beginning fishermen and show you how to put either a redworm and a waxworm on the hook. There's a few tricks that you can do that'll help you catch more fish and to help your bait last longer. And so I want to take a few minutes and show those. So we're going to jump into that video now. Thanks.
While we're on the live bait portion of this, I do want to take a few minutes and just show you how to put a live worm on a hook. Now, I'm not going to use a live worm in the video here. I've grabbed this to represent a redworm, and I've grabbed a bigger hook than what you would normally use, just so you can kind of see this a little better in the camera than what it is when you're using a live bait. Because when you use a live bait, it's just everything's very small and it's kind of hard to see on the camera. So a lot of people, when they try to put live bait on, they like hook it like that, and then they come out and they hook it again, and then they hook it again like that. You end up with kind of this ball on there. And to me, the fish are able to nibble at these pieces that are hanging off, and you end up missing a lot of fish, and you end up going through a lot of bait because it's not on there very good, and the fish are able to pick it off pretty good. So what I like to do is I like to thread it on there. So I like to go on like this and just thread it all the way around so the worm actually ends up in the shape of the hook. And then I always leave the tip of the hook covered. That way when a bluegill comes up and grabs it, they're going to grab it like that, and they're going to get that hook in their mouth, the point of the hook in their mouth, so when you set the hook, it'll come through that worm real easily and into them, so you get them hooked. And so that is what it should look like when you get your redworm threaded onto your hook properly. And it'll be a much smaller hook. It'll be a hook like this, right? But that's what it should look like. The worm should end up in the same shape as the hook. And then as you get hits, you'll bring it back, and if you miss the fish or whatever, you'll be like that. And your hook will be exposed, this little end hanging off. You want to just put that back on like that, so that your hook point is always covered up with some worm. And as long as your hook point's always covered up with some worm, eventually that fish is going to grab the part of the worm that has the hook point in it, and you'll be able to catch them. And so always have that hook point right there, always have it covered up by some worm, and then that way the fish will come and grab that right there. So that's how you do a redworm. And then another little piece of plastic here. A wax worm is about that sized, and they're white like that. And so I grabbed that small hook that we were doing earlier, and it's just real easy. Again, you just want to thread it on there. So you just thread the little guy on there like that, and that's about what it'll look like when you use a wax worm. It's kind of hard to see because it's white with a white background, so let me put my hand there. But that's about what a wax worm will look like on your hook. And the bluegill really like wax worms, just like they like those redworms. And again, you end up with it being a little bit of a J shape on the hook, and you always want to have that point of the hook covered by the worm, so that when the fish comes up, they grab the point of the hook, and you can get them hooked easier. And so that's how you should be rigging your wax worms, and how you should be rigging your redworms. And honestly, as a beginning fisherman, if you're going to go with real bait, those are the two baits that I would go with. I would either do wax worms or redworms, and I wouldn't bother with any other style of real bait to start with.
Thanks for joining today's episode on Fish the Mark on how to put a worm on a hook. If you like what we're doing, please, or even if you don't like what we're doing, please make some comments so that we know what people like and what they don't like. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button if you like what's going on. Happy to help anybody get started in the sport of fishing. So feel free to reach out and let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. And have a great day.